What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. So it's just me today. If you're watching this on YouTube, you obviously can see that. If you're just listening, Mimi's not here today because she's feeling very sick. She's got a bad sore throat, and I'm really not trying to catch that. She's in the background packing up here, so if you hear some rustling or you hear her chime in or something, that's what she's doing. She just is not fit to talk. Anyway, I figured that I would do a little Q&A, so I posted on my Instagram on Become Elite, basically said, ask me some questions for the podcast. We'll see if I can feature you. You guys submitted a lot of questions. I kind of went through them really quickly and picked out some of my favorite ones. KM Klen says, do you think you can realistically make it to be the first string right back in your new team? So that's a really good question about my new team being the Tulsa Roughnecks. In the video where I announced the signing, I said that I was the second string. That was just something that the coach had kind of talked to me very briefly about, said that they were bringing another right back, and you really never know. So I definitely am more of a utility player. Like, I can play left back, I can play even right or left mid. I have played center back in USL games before. I can obviously play right back, right wing back. So that's a kind of a big slew of positions that I can play. So that's good. I think that's really good, especially coming in, because you never know. Let's say the left back is having a poor run of games, or a couple center backs got injured. You can always pop in and do a lot of stuff. So I definitely have some USL experience. We'll see what happens. And obviously my main goal is to start at the right back position. But like I said in that video, I'm definitely not lying in the video. Like, I just want the team to do well. From my experience, I've found over and over again that when your team does well and you're winning and you're making the playoffs, everybody benefits from that. Everybody does better because of that. And if your team isn't winning, it doesn't really matter even how much you kill it. It always is better if your team is winning. So my main goal, especially coming in, is I think it's like my fifth season or something, third in the USL. It's for the team to win. And if the team's winning and I'm not starting, I'll be happier for that than if I'm starting and we're losing, if that makes sense. Now, do I think I can realistically make it to the first string? 100%. I'm so confident I can do it, but there's so many other variables, so many other circumstances that come up, even with style of play. Let's say, the coaching staff or whatever doesn't want the athletic, pushing forward, crossing, attacking type right back, which is kind of like what my game is suited for. Then they might go for a more defensive, bigger, more of a center back, almost at that right back role. So I think I can do it, but you never know so much more than that. So, all you can do is show up every single day and give your best, give your all, and try to make it a very tough decision for the coaches on who to start. My go-to meal at Chipotle. Mimi's standing in the background. What's the matter? It's okay. No, stop, Mimi. It's okay. Mimi's very upset because the curtain back here isn't covering up this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. It's okay, Mimi. Stop. It's okay. My go-to meal at Chipotle, I always get a burrito. I love just getting like a double chicken burrito, some white rice. I like black beans. I like veggies. I like a little bit of sour cream, a very little bit of cheese, and then guacamole and medium salsa. That's my go-to meal for sure. Is Mimi going to move to Tulsa with you? Yeah, she is. We're packing up right now as we speak. She got a whole crap load of kitchen stuff.
That's how you describe it?
Do you want to sit and do the podcast with me? I thought you said you weren't feeling good.
I'm not. But it's great stuff.
I didn't say it wasn't good. She got a ton of stuff for the move, like a ton of pots and pans, and she got
just kitchen.
And she got like a lot of other stuff. Mimi keeps on chiming in. Maybe if you want to be in the podcast.
You said I could chime
in. I said if she chimes in.
I'm not allowed to.
Well, they can't even probably hear you that well. Anyway, so yeah, Mimi's moving out to Tulsa with me, so we're really excited. We're going to get our own apartment. It'll be the first time that she's there for the entire season, all 9 months, experienced it in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we're preparing for that move right now. Mimi and I are going to leave Saturday morning. It's currently Thursday night. So if you guys are watching this on Sunday morning, we are going to be probably in the midst of our drive across the country. So DM me, Mimi or somebody, and ask us some questions because we'll probably be very, very bored on the drive. Yeah, so we're pumped. We really, really are really pumped about it. The best way to mentally prepare yourself. I think it's all about you, and you have to find out what works for you. Some people like to have headphones in. Some people hate headphones. Some people like to just goof off during, right before leading up to the game. Some people need all their meals to go the right way. Some people like to watch a certain movie the night before. Some people need to, everybody's different. And there's no right or wrong way to mentally prepare. It's all about what works for you. For me, specifically, how I mentally prepare, I might do a little bit of visualization like when I'm going to bed, but it's not like I don't sit down and be like, okay, time for my 15 minutes of visualization, set the timer and go. I'm just lying in bed. I'm excited for the game. So I just sit there and I think about what hopefully I want to do in the game. Am I crossing the ball in? Am I cutting in on my left foot and taking a shot? Am I defending up a guy 1v1? It's more of just excitement for the game. And then other than that, I just try to eat decently healthy. I try to get a good 8 hours of sleep the night before the game. And I kind of just relax and hang out with my teammates and have fun leading up to the game. You do this twice a week for 9 months out of the year. So at the end of the day, it almost becomes so routine to you that you have to be ready for the game no matter what happens. And I'm a kind of big believer in that. Like I'm not a really big believer in that you should have a big pre-match routine about everything that you do, how you lace up your boots, how you do this, because if something goes wrong, that's probably going to negatively impact you. I have the mentality that I should be traveling with the team, not even going to be dressed up or whatever. And all of a sudden the coach goes, look, Matt, change of plans, you're starting. And then I should be able to mentally switch on that fast, get on the field and perform. Even if I haven't had the best food, even if I haven't, I only got 6 hours of sleep the night before, even if I haven't prepared and done the entire routine, I should be able to just switch quickly and get ready to play. I think routines aren't necessary. Now, if it helps you and you love it, then forget what I said. It's all about finding what works for you. What kind of Become Elite facility do you hope to open up one day? I really, really am obsessed. Obviously, I'm absolutely obsessed with the training and the drills and the workouts and the diets and the nutrition and everything that goes into the cardio routines, everything that goes into preparing players to play at the next level, to improve the individual training. So I would want a training facility that really kind of is a supplement to all these players' team trainings. They'll go train with their teams 3 times a week, and then I'll take them the other 2 days of the week. They'll come in, and I really help them with a program, working on their nutrition, working on their diet, and then kind of all really tailoring it to their game. Are they got all the technical side, but they're just a little bit unfit? Then I'll work on fitness. If they're completely fit, they're athletic beasts, but their technical side is really down, then I'll schedule a training program around the technical side, exactly what they should work on. And hopefully I'll have a decent sized pitch, a turf field or grass field, where you can get most of the stuff done. Hopefully I'll have like a little weight room and cardio stuff and stuff like that. But we'll see. It'll definitely start off small, like 1,000 square feet and just 1 or 2 people. And then hopefully over time it grows and grows and grows until it's this huge headquarters. And we'll see. I always take things one step at a time. And when I'm done playing, that's when I'll transition to the headquarters. Let's see, the next question. If you could design a perfect player, what 5 qualities would you put in? Everybody always asks something like, what is the number one aspect of your game that you need at the pro level? What is the number one thing of this or this or this? And I don't hate that question, but what bothers me about it is that you think that you can neglect other parts of your game and still become a pro. Like even the worst defenders in the top 5 leagues in Europe are still really good defenders. If they went to your team right now and played in the back, they could still be one of the best. They'd be the best center backs on your team. And you need to realize that you have to be at the proficient level, the professional proficient level on all your skills. I don't care if you are a center back, you should still be able to whip in a cross. I don't care if you're a goalkeeper, you should still be able to hit a shot on frame. These are just basic skills that you need. And if you don't have something, let's say you have a bad weak foot or you are, a 0 pace, you're going to get exposed out on the field. it doesn't matter. It's going to come out one time. Like I saw this one player this one time that I was training with all the time, seemed like a really good player. And then all of a sudden we started using our left foot for a left-footed shot. And this guy had no left foot at all. I told him, bro, that's what's holding you back. You know, you have so many other things about your game that are the pro level, but your left foot and this, I listed like 3 or 4 things, are not. And when you get into a trial, when they see that you can't do that, they're going to pick the guy that can do that over the guy who can't. And so I don't think there is a most important 5 aspects of your game. I think that obviously if you list off anything, there's going to be a better player that doesn't have one of those aspects. And when I say don't, again, I'm just saying that he's not the crazy level of everybody else. But every single person is going to be a 50. If you look at the FIFA ratings, every single person is going to be a 50 on everything. You know, they're going to be able to do all the normal stuff. And then they specialize in other areas. So do everything. Always work to improve your weaknesses. Don't ever think that you can just rely on 5 aspects and get up to the pro game. Because I've never met a pro that can't do everything, that can't hit a cross, they can't hit a shot, they can't use his left foot, they can't hit a 5-yard pass, like isn't decently fast. Every single pro has everything. Which would be better to improve endurance, a 5-mile run or sprint similar to the John Terry workout? So I would say, I think that 90% of your fitness training should really be about sprint-based stuff and recovering from sprints, because in a game, that's what you do. It's constant periods of high-intensity sprints and then cool down jogs and kind of like catching your breath. And then it's a high intensity sprint and then a cool down jog and catch your breath. You're never running, you run 7 miles a game, 5 to 7 miles a game or whatever it is, but you're not running 5 to 7 miles at a constant pace. It's a sprint and then stop, and then a sprint and then jog, and it's a sprint and then jog again, and then a sprint, then stop. And so your cardio training to get fit for that should reflect that. And I'm not saying going out and running 5 miles is bad. It's still going to be better than nothing, but majority of your fitness training should replicate game realistic running. That's exactly why I love the John Terry cardio so much, is because that's exactly what it was. It was 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off, which is exactly pretty much what games are. I mean, you're going, especially as a wingback, you're sprinting up the entire field, whipping it across, sprinting back, and then you get 40 seconds to calm and catch your breath, and then you have to do it again. So personally, I'm not saying cut out the longer distance runs, but focus mainly on the game realistic stuff. Do you feel being lucky is just as big a factor as being skilled? I'm going to say no. I do think that there is a factor of luck in the game, in getting to be a pro player, in getting to the top 5 leagues or whatever, seen by the right person at the right time, having that right game, scoring a hat trick on the game that the scout comes and sees you play. But if you're doing it consistently and you're scoring a hat trick every single game, you're more likely to get lucky and be seen by the scout, So I think being skilled is way more important, obviously. And if you don't have the skills, you're never going to make it to the pro game, no matter how lucky you are. But if you have all the skills and you have no luck ever, then you're not going to make it to the pro game either. And I also think that you really do make your own luck. So if you just go out and try to rely on being scouted and getting lucky for the scout to come to your game or to get scouted to play D1 college soccer, it's a lot less likely that you're going to get lucky to get a D1 college scholarship or whatever than if you go out and you email 50 Division I college coaches saying that you're interested in their program, you work to make a highlight video and a CV, and you send a really good personalized email to each and every one of those coaches, and then you have the interest and you pick and choose what school to go to. That person is creating his opportunities, creating his luck, and is more likely to get a D1 scholarship. There might be a person who doesn't send one email and gets recruited, but you can make yourself have a higher chance of being lucky by putting in the work. I really do think that you make your own luck. For example, even in my own career, like the reason that I went over to Germany, let's say, there's so many things why luck was involved, but the reason why I went over to Germany was because my U12 youth coach was living in the Bay Area. He came to watch one of my UC Davis games. He thought I played well. He went and talked to his German coach or German friend, Marcus. Marcus then came with Matt to watch another one of my UC Davis games. I played well again. They thought really highly of me. And then they later went and came to my games when I played for the San Jose Earthquakes U23 team. And then at that point, they're like, you know what, Matt has something. We should bring him over to Germany. And the German coach brought me over to Germany. Now, people might say it's lucky that my youth coach was living in the Bay Area and wanted to come to my game. But at the same time, I was reaching out to so many people, and when Matt and Marcus were coming to my games, I was also driving down to the Bay Area to meet up with them, to have dinner, to do so much more. And I was pushing, trying to go over to Germany. So, you can say that about everything, but I guarantee there's lucky circumstances in your life that you may or may not be taking advantage of. So it's such a tricky thing about luck and those kind of topics. Why didn't you go to England and get trials with Premier League teams and championship teams? Because it's a lot harder than you think. I could not go over there with my resume and my CV and get any trials with any championship or Premier League teams, especially as an international without a British passport. It doesn't work like that. And people always tell me to go down to the lower leagues. I wish I would kill for a British or a European passport where I could go down the lower leagues of Spain, of England, of Germany, and live over there and play and try to work my way up the ranks. But as an American, I can't get a passport or a visa or a work permit to go over there unless I'm playing in the top leagues. And I can't play in the top leagues with the current resume I have. And, even when I went over to Germany and played in the 6th division and try to come back for the 4th, I cheated the system, if I'm being 100% honest. I cheated the system. I applied to a local university to get a student visa. Once I got accepted, once I applied to a local university, once I got accepted in, then I applied for a student visa. And then I just never went to school. So I paid the $200 to apply to the university or whatever, got the student visa, and then I said, I'm just going to play soccer. So if I didn't do that, I would not have gotten a visa to play soccer over there because I was at too low of a level and they could not offer me enough money for to justify a work permit. And it's tough. I mean, it really is. I've had tons of teammates try to go over to England and see it firsthand about if they don't have a passport, they can't play over there. So I wish I could do it, but I would have to go to the top 3, maybe even 4 leagues in England. And as a foreigner coming into those leagues, you need to be the best player. It's different if you're coming in as a foreigner, coming in as an international person. Do you think, what are you expecting from your upcoming season with the Tulsa Roughnecks? I really do. I set goals for myself. I'm always setting goals. I'm always doing stuff like that, but I never really it's hard to explain. So I always set really, really, really short-term goals. I never have long-term goals let me start from the beginning. I have very vague long-term goals. I obviously want to score. I want to have successful seasons in the USL. I want to push up to the MLS. I want to, get defensive player of the week or even offensive player in the week or do something in the USL. And I have lots of vague career goals for what I want to do. I want to play till I'm 30. I want to do, 100 appearances in my career. But they're not specific timelines. Even for the rest of the season, so much of what my goals are, what I'm expecting for the season, depends on how preseason goes. So I have my only goals right now that I'm focused on is to go into preseason and kill it, and really show the coaches that, look, I might not be coming in as the starter and not be coming in as whatever you think of me, but I want to come in and wow them. I want to be like, wow, Matt could definitely be a starting potential. We'll see how these preseason games go. So it's always been such short-term goals for me. Even when I was in high school, I was never focused on playing pro. Obviously, I wanted to play pro. Obviously, I wanted to play D1 soccer, but my goals were always just the immediate next step. It was to become a starter on the varsity team when I was not a starter on the varsity team. Once I was a starter on the varsity team, all I was focused on was being the MVP or the leading goal scorer. And then once I accomplished that, I wanted to go do the same thing with my club team. And once I accomplished that, then I'm like, you know what? I should try to play Division I college soccer. And then once I got that, signed the national letter of intent to play at UC Davis, I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to play on the field. It was always these tiny little baby steps that I worked my way up. And it didn't even cross my mind that I could become a pro. I always wanted to, but it didn't actually cross my mind that it was a realistic goal to have until I was performing with the San Jose Earthquakes U23 team and scored like the most goals for that season. That's when it clicked in my head, and that's when I realized I could be a pro, and that's when I said, I want to be a pro. That is a goal now, not just a dream. So I always have very short-term goals that are specific and then very vague long-term dreams / goals. And I think that's what's worked for me. And I think that's a good thing to have because, you know, if you have too specific of long-term goals and it doesn't go exactly how you get, you know, you envision to get there, it can get very hard and depressing. So that's at least what I think. You know, again, this is everything I'm saying on this podcast, everything I always preach is what's been working for me. My diets that work for me, my workouts that work for me, my cardio that works for me, how I've got into the pro level. I'm not Messi. I'm not Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, if they had a podcast, if they had a YouTube channel, then I'd go listen to them as well. You have to take little parts of everybody, the advice that you hear from every pro, every person, and apply it to yourself, see what works for you, and then build up your own way of doing things. I'm a huge, huge believer in that because I know a pro that doesn't even work out in the gym ever. He told me, he's like, I haven't done a sit-up since I was 20, and he's like 34. I'm like, hey, well, and he's got a better career than I do. And I'm like, well, you know, if it works for you, it works for you. That wouldn't work for me. How much hard work does it really take to get you to the next level or to the level that you're at currently? Way, way more than you would expect. And I mean, I show you everything that I do almost. I show you so much of what I do. And even that, I don't show everything. I don't show me sending off all the hundreds of emails. I don't show you when I contact my agents once a week to update them and to ask them what's going on. I don't show you me reaching out to all my teammates or ex-teammates and seeing what they're up to and if any opportunities are popping up. I don't show you, you know, you haven't seen my full career from when I was 5 until I was 22 when I started vlogging. So the amount of work, it's a lot harder than I thought it was. It's a lot harder than pretty much everybody thought it was. Even Ramon said it in his interview when he said advice that he gave to himself, a 16-year-old. He said it's tougher than you think, and it's true. It's 100% true. It's way tougher, way harder, way more of a grind, way more intense lows than you ever would think. But at the same time, it's way more rewarding, way more exciting, way more fulfilling than you would think too. So it's just more intense. Everything's more intense. How did you persevere through struggles of trying to find your first pro contract? To me, it was always easier, or I always wanted to play soccer, even if it was at a low level and not a pro level, more than I wanted to get a day job and go to the 9-to-5 route of working in an office. Like for me, when I was over in Germany, or I was failing trials all over in Canada and the US and Iceland, and then in Germany, to me, that was worth it more. The experience of that, playing soccer in new countries or just trialing and going for something was worth it and more exciting and more fulfilling in my life than just taking the easier way out of finishing out my college degree and getting a job that maybe wouldn't have been as fulfilling, but would have been more financially secure and maybe would have been smarter in the short term. But I was always thinking long term. My main thing that my dad had always preached into me as a young kid is to live your life with no regrets. And, it's like that tattoo across that with that one movie, like no regrets. It was honestly, that was like a huge thing in my life, is to live your life so that when you're on your deathbed, you don't think, man, I wish I would have taken that opportunity over in Germany. Man, I wish I would have gone on that open combine at UC Davis. man, you know what, man, I wish that after I tore my adductor, I would have just tried it one more year to see if I could break back into the pro game. Those were questions that I never wanted to face on my deathbed. So I always had told myself, like, never give your older self something to regret. And for me, I didn't want to regret not going for it. It's the same thing. It was like another quote that was like, the worst version of hell is when you go down to hell and you meet the person that you could have become. And I could only see myself, if I took, if I would have failed that first trial in Iceland, and I said, you know what, this isn't for me, which I thought at the time. I was like, yeah, this sucks, man. I didn't like the rejection. I wanted to quit, but I just kept on pushing for it. What if I would have gotten a job there, 9-to-5 job, entered into the workforce, and then if, when I die, I would have gone down to hell, and I would have met current me, who has played professional soccer now in 3 USL seasons, gone to New Zealand, gone to Germany, have all these amazing experiences and so fulfilled, and has a YouTube channel and just like has fans, that just stuff that I never would have thought would have been possible. I would have been very upset as the person working that job and been like, man, I should have gone for it. And so those are just little things that I always try to remind myself in low periods is like, are you going to regret this when you're 80? Are you going to wish that you would have kept on playing? So I think that's always helped me persevere through the struggle, because I probably would regret not going for it. How can I improve my weak foot? No, this is, I make fun of this question a lot, and I don't mean to make fun of this question as saying it's a stupid question, because I was there. I have been in your shoes currently, where you take a shot with your right foot and it feels great, and you go over to your left foot and it just feels awkward. Like you take it and you're like, what the hell? Like this, something's wrong. I'm not doing it right. I don't care how many hours of practice I put in. I'm not getting it. Something's wrong. I need a specific drill in order to fix it and to improve it quicker. But the reality is that no, you just have to go out and take 10,000 shots with your left foot. And then when you finally randomly get the right body and all the lean and perfectly, and you hit it right, or a little bit better than what you've usually been doing, you go, whoa, what did I do there? And you go, well, I think I was leaning a little bit more. So you lean a little bit more and you start hitting them a little bit more consistent, and you just keep going and going until your left foot becomes just as good as your right. And so like weak foot for me, I always just like go out and use it. And I say that as just like a motivating term of like, go out and practice, go out and do it. And I don't mean it to like belittle anybody. I don't want to say like you're dumb. For me, it's like, go out and just try it. It's almost, I make fun of it and I say it that way to try to motivate you to realize how simple it really is. And for you to just go out and start practicing today versus asking that question in my comment section. So I kind of want to clear things up. The camera just died. Mimi, do you want to just hit that for me, please? Thank you. Well, the podcast is still going right now. I'm not going to pause it. Thank you very much, Mimi. Let's see. How do you maintain your relationship with Mimi? I'm assuming they're asking this with our crazy, hectic schedule of me going over to Germany and her finishing up school, and then me going to Orange County, and then us being kind of close, and then me, going off to St. Louis and her coming over for a little bit, to New Zealand. I think the best thing is like, look, we really did love each other. Like I loved her, she loved me. And for us being apart, like breaking up was worse than, it's kind of like goes back, breaking up was worse, and not talking to each other was worse than doing long distance. That's how we viewed it. So we're like, well, doing long distance is better than nothing. I wasn't going to give up my dream of playing professional soccer. Mimi wasn't going to give up her goals of finishing school, going and starting interior design and all that stuff. So we couldn't compromise. So we just did it. And we said, yeah, this sucks, but this isn't going to be forever. I'm going to settle down one day. And I feel like if you're focused on your own goals, I was focused on becoming elite. I was focused on my professional career. I was so focused. Mimi was so focused on finishing school, starting up her career. Now she's super focused on her own YouTube channel and Instagram page and website. Links in the description. That it's not a problem. Like it's not as fun, but it's not a problem. So that's what my advice is to stay focused and ask yourself if doing long distance is better than breaking up. And if your answer is, you know what, no, I think breaking up would be better, then break up. I mean, it's the same thing. If I'm not saying we're gonna break up, Mimi. I'm saying if for you, if you are thinking that yeah, breaking up would be better for my life than doing long distance, then break up. But for me and Mimi, it wasn't. So we stay together. This is a good question here by Sanskar. I haven't been saying the names of anything. Sorry. How do you manage to handle all the criticism said to you? I think there's a few things. Well, first off, number one, I don't handle it 100% well every single time. I mean, especially at the beginning, I would even stay up late sometimes at night if somebody really didn't like me or said something that really made me upset. Because it is hard. It's weird. I mean, you guys probably I don't know how much criticism that you guys get in your life from people, but if you're on the internet and you have a bigger social media following and you start to see some success and then you start to, do whatever, it really does. It's crazy like how you can get negative comments now and you get people disliking your videos. But to me, it was just such a few number. I would get 50,000 views on a video and I would get 2 negative comments. And then if I really looked at the grand scheme of things, I was getting 500 positive comments and 2,000 likes on the video. So I'm like, you know what? It's okay. There's like that quote that's like, you could be the juiciest, ripest, best plum on the earth, but there's going to be people who just don't like plums. And I was like, you know what? That makes sense. And I also think one of my favorite quotes too, I'm a big quote guy if you haven't been able to tell. But one of my favorite quotes I think of all time is The Critic Who Counts. I always say that. It's The Man in the Arena. It's called The Man in the Arena by Theodore Roosevelt. And it's not the critic who counts. It's really, really good. And it's all about how the person who's going out, striving for a goal, daring to do something, really pushing it, that's who matters. It's not the people that are telling the man who has blood on his face and sweat and is dusty and all this stuff. It's not the people telling him of what he should or can't do or that he shouldn't do or critiquing him. It's about the person who's actually going out in the arena and doing something. And it doesn't matter if he fails or he succeeds. The fact that he just tried it all, that makes him better than everybody else who doesn't try and just has something to say. And I think that quote to me really, really stuck with me at an early age, like 16, 17, when I was trying to go play Division I college soccer. And a lot of people were telling me that it wasn't going to go work out. And they were critiquing what I was doing, critiquing my workouts, critiquing my extra training, critiquing my goals and ambitions. And I found that quote and realized, yeah, it's true. It doesn't matter. They're scared. They want to take chances, but they're too scared to do it. So they don't want to see anybody else take chances because they're afraid of them succeeding and getting left behind, And I feel for them. I really do. I feel really bad for the people who don't go for something like that, don't strive valiantly for a goal or a dream, because I can only imagine how unfulfilled, your life must be. And I could see why they would be putting out hate. So for me, it always has been, I'm happy, I'm fulfilled. I wake up at like 5 a.m., bounce out of bed and I go straight to my computer and start working. And then I go straight from that. After 30 minutes of answering emails or whatever, I drive up an hour and a half up to Irvine to train, and I come back and I work out, and I love every minute of it. And I'm fulfilled. I'm happy. So it doesn't matter if people are critiquing me or saying that I should do something different, because like I'm playing pro soccer. I've played Division I college soccer. I've scored countless goals. I have a YouTube channel that I love creating and people love watching, and everything in my life is going well, knock on wood. So if somebody is critiquing what I'm doing, it's like, I don't know. It doesn't even hit my head of like, yeah, I should change, because why would I change something if what I'm doing really is working for me and really makes me happy? Let's see some more questions. What was the turning point in your life that made you want to pursue soccer 100%? I've said this before, but it was never a click or a switch. It has always been a gradual ramp. Like, imagine at the beginning when I was 14, I was like, you know what? I like playing soccer. I really like it. I like training on my own. I like working out. I like going to the gym and seeing results. I like becoming faster and more powerful. And it just, I started doing a little bit more workouts. I wasn't like, I'm going to be a pro no matter what. It was like, I enjoy doing this. I like seeing improvement. This is fun. I like scoring goals in games. I want to score more goals. And then, I started taking my training a little bit seriously. And then once I started to realize I could play in college, I started taking it a little bit more seriously. Started focusing on my diet and nutrition and making my workouts even more soccer specific and training even more on the weak points of my game. I got to college, same thing. I started having success. And I'm like, maybe I could play semi-pro. And then every single year, I took it slightly more and more serious until now when I became, I decided to drop out of college, and it became my entire life of, this is what I want to do in life, is play soccer, is to work out, is to be a pro. So it was a gradual ramp. It was never a moment in time where I went from like, nah, man, I don't know, soccer's whatever, I train with my team, to now I'm going to be a pro. It was never like that. What is your advice on enduring a long 8 to 9 month season? Number one thing is to take care of your body. Take care of your body. I mean, I learned that real quick with Orange County Blues, with St. Louis FC, is that when you're doing this, you're training 6 days a week for 9 months without any breaks. You really need to, your body starts to get tight. It starts to get sore. You really need to do yoga and stretch. You need to eat right. You need to have your 8 hours of sleep every night. You need to go in for your massages. You need to see the physical therapist if anything starts to feel weird or tight or just different than what it usually does. You really do need to take care of your body over anything else. And the number one thing you can do usually is to do yoga and to eat right and to sleep and see the physical therapist. I'd also highly recommend some type of maintenance gym program to keep your entire body in sync and strong, because so many injuries happen because you start to get reliant on certain parts of, like, certain muscle groups. For example, a lot of soccer players are quad dominant. So a lot, when they run and they're squatting and doing everything, their quads become stronger than their hamstrings. And then when they go get fatigued in a game and they try to sprint, since their hamstrings are weaker, a lot of the times when they exert a powerful, quad and they're starting to sprint, their quads can handle it, but then their hamstring can't, and then they pull their hamstring and they tear their hamstring. So a gym routine that really works to strengthen and balance out your entire body is essential. That's so key. It doesn't have to be crazy workouts where you're getting super sore and trying to build or get more explosive. It's just maintaining during that 8 to 9 month season. If you get stronger, great. If you don't, that's fine too. The main goal is to not get injured during season. And then in off seasons or whenever, that's when you really try to get more powerful, get more explosive, get faster, work on other parts of your game. So definitely, that you learn that quick when you start having your first long 8 to 9 month seasons. It was always different for me. Like, I never had experience of that. Like, in high school, you have a 3-month season and you have kind of club soccer, but it's not intense enough where you need to be taking care of your body as well as you have to at the pro game. In college, you have a 3-month season and then a spring season. So I was never used to having a 9-month season and playing with like pro level players where it was so intense. Because I think there's another question I actually pointed out that was like, why don't you train? I'll answer this one right now. It was, why don't you train 2 times a day in the off season? And the answer to that is because the professional level training is a lot different. An hour and a half at the pro level workouts and trainings is a lot different than an hour and a half when you're 14, you go out to the field. When I was 14, I could go out to the field for 2 hours, and I could work out for an hour, and I could go play a game with my team the next day. When you're at the professional level and now you are more powerful and the workouts are more intense and your trainings are way more intense and you're going against other people that are more intense and it's faster, you find real quickly that doing 2-hour training sessions a day now is not feasible for you as a person. And, people might point out Ronaldo or other people that do that. But Ronaldo, I mean, even these guys, the extra stuff, the supplemental stuff they do is maybe a little bit lighter. It's a little bit smarter. But especially in off season, this is your time to work on other things. This is your time to even let your body kind of heal up for the strenuous 9-month season coming up. So you have to be smart and you have to listen to your body and you have to do what's right for the long term. Obviously, yeah, it'd be better to train 10 times a day, but you have to be realistic, especially as you start to get older. You have to understand what's going to be more what's going to be smarter? Is it going to be smarter to do 2 times a day and maybe risk getting hurt? Or is it going to be smarter to doing an hour and a half every single day and then having the entire season go better because you're not overexerting yourself? But again, listen to your body. If your body can handle 3 times a day of workouts and trainings, go for it. If your body is really, really tight after one, listen to it. Listen to it. Was there ever a point in your youth career, 15 to 18, where you weren't sure if you would make it? Are you kidding me? Like, that was my entire age from 15 to, that was my entire youth career, was thinking I wasn't even going to make my A team of my club team or make the varsity team of my high school. Like, I was at 15 to 18, I wasn't thinking if I could go pro. I was thinking like, man, I really, really want to make the A team of my club team. And keep in mind, this wasn't even development academy team. This was like a local Portland club team. I was on the B team of the West Side Metros. The West Side Metros, what was the first team called?
East Side.
The West Side Metros. Oh, I forgot what the team name was. I was on the Spartans on the B team. And I didn't think that I could make the A team in my youth career. So the fact, if you're asking me if I thought I could make it to like the pro level, is kind of laughable because I didn't even think I could make it to the A team. So, and I obviously did. But again, I was focused on the short-term goals of making the A team. I wasn't focused on becoming a pro when I was 24. I was focused on making the A team next season. Wow, this podcast is kind of fun. This podcast is flying by, Mimi. It's like 40 minutes in. I have a few more questions. Do you think you've been successful? Yeah, like I said, I told my parents, it's funny, my parents, I remember my dad specifically saying this to me when I was playing Division I college soccer. He was like, what's funny is we told ourselves, this is my mom and my dad talking, they're like, we told ourselves that you would have a successful soccer career if you made the varsity team of your high school. That's what they said. Setting the bar really high, mom and dad. But no, that's what they said. And so like for me too, I was focused on making the A team. I wanted to make high school. When I made the A team, my senior year of high school, when I made the varsity team and scored 13 goals that season, got MVP and the leading goal scorer, I was like, wow, that's a successful soccer career. In my eyes, honestly. And I'm not like saying that like that I set the bar so low, but I mean, that's a pretty decent bar. I was MVP for high school and for club, but like, I really didn't have this expectation that it was like, I need to be a pro or else my career is a failure. It was like, I just want to become the best possible player I possibly can become. I want to play at the highest level I possibly can play. So even if it was the highest level was varsity soccer, that would have been a success because I would have made the highest level I possibly could have played. If that level was D1, it would have been a success. And so that's how I look at it. It was like, and for me, I feel like I still haven't reached that ceiling. And like, I've played second division in America. Can I play first division? Can I go over to Europe and maybe play in a second division of a better country? I don't know. But for me, even if this is my last season, I will have considered my career a success. If this was my last season, if my last season was at college, I would have considered that a success. It was, for me, it's all about if I could pushing myself to play at the highest possible level. And as long as I don't just quit before I reach that, before I'm ready to really retire, then it should be a success. Someone asks, if they choose you to go to Mars and start a colony, would you? And my answer is no. Hell no. I've experienced what it's like to be alone for long periods of time, like over in Germany, without friends and family, with nobody speaking the same language as you, living in an apartment by yourself for most of the day. Everybody's at work, everybody's at school, and you're just in your apartment doing nothing. And it's the worst. I'm a social person. I need to be around friends and family and loved ones. And doing that, that would be the worst form of torture. I think, like I've talked about this before, like those little post-apocalyptic movies like I Am Legend or whatever, where you're like the last person on Earth. And I knew I was the last person on Earth. I would end it. It's dark, but I would end it right then and there. I would take a gun or whatever. For me, there's no point in living if there's nobody around you to share it with. That's how I feel. Mimi goes, "Oh," in the background, but it's true. I don't know. Maybe Mimi, would you, if you were the last person on earth and you knew you were the last person on earth, so it wasn't like, oh yeah, maybe you can find somebody, but no, you were like somehow knew that you were the only person alive, would you kill yourself or would you live?
No, I'd be so happy.
She said she would be happy. There's no way. Mimi can't go five. She's talked to me about like, she's talked to me, I think 10 times this podcast already.
Well, I can't talk.
This is a good question too. Did you go back and watch the New Zealand vlogs to remind yourself how much you overcame? I did actually. I went back to a few videos in particular where I watched where I really kind of broke down. I think it was like I've never been this frustrated when I was over in like France, and I still felt a lot of pain. I think I watched a video about like I have bad news when I found out that I needed a second surgery. And I watched also some of the very first videos after my surgeries where I'm limping around, and you know it kind of hit me like I don't want to like toot my own horn, but like I feel like I really did overcome a lot. And to see me so upset about having to go back for surgery or limping around my apartment or the hotel I was at and just in so much pain, like it's pretty crazy that I like just to see how it unfolded and how I got back to the USL. And for me, I even talked to my mom, like, look, even if this is my last USL season, even if I don't play a minute this season, even if, you know, I don't play a minute and I retire after the season or whatever, hopefully that doesn't happen. But even if this is my last professional season, I will be happy. Like I will feel like I did it. Like I made it to the professional level. I suffered a very serious injury, a career-ending injury from what many physical therapists and doctors had told me, and was told by so many people that I could never, my career was over. I could never get back to the pro level. And I just didn't let that injury dictate the end of my professional career. And that meant so much to me that like I now could decide, you know, the end of my career, whether it's this year, whether it's in 5 years, whether it's in 10 years. But that was big for me because, yeah, I didn't want to, like I said, on my deathbed, be like, man, could I have come back from that injury and played another year of pro? Like, could I have signed another pro contract? So I'm really, it's funny because looking back on it, I honestly really don't understand how I had the confidence that I could get back because of just how hard it really was. But I just had to try. And so I'm really happy that I did go through and did try, even though there were many, many moments. Ask my mom and dad, ask Mimi, ask whoever, where I said, I'm never going to feel better. I'm never going to get over this injury. I'm never going to make it back. But it was just, I don't know. I just had to try. I just had to try, or else I knew I would regret it later.
Can I blow my nose now?
You can blow your nose. I don't care. Just go out of the room. Thank you. What is the deepest fear you have for your life? Do you believe you are in part driven by it? Kind of like, yeah, going back to the Mars answer, I think the deepest fear of my life is being alone or having like Mimi or a family member or one of Mimi's family members or like someone really, really close to in my life die, or for me to be alone. I think that's one of my deepest fears. So how does that drive my life? Well, I try, you know, and it's hard because my life and my career choice takes me everywhere around the world. And I've talked about this in videos that I miss so many moments with my family. I miss so many moments with friends and loved ones. I'm away from so much of it. So I think like that, those two things combined, my biggest fear of being alone, my biggest fear of having loved ones die or whatever, also motivates me to really, when I'm home or when I'm wherever, to really enjoy the moment, to really take it all in, to not be distant, and to just appreciate the people that you have around you, because it is limited. And it's my biggest fear is if like one of my family members or Mimi were to die, like that is like the worst thing I can possibly imagine. So I live my life thinking like I need to enjoy every single moment, because you just never know. Like somebody could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Like it's crazy how life could work. So you gotta enjoy it. And it's hard too with this like career I've talked about. Like, you know, I missed my, for example, I've never talked about this, but I was in Germany I think, or St. Louis. I think I was in St. Louis when my grandfather had like a reunion. It was like his 50th or 80th birthday or something, or some reunion, and in my entire family, my dad's family, everybody came to Wyoming to see him and to see everything. And I was in the middle of his season, and I was the pretty much the only family member of the Sheldon side that didn't go. And then shortly after that, my grandpa died, and I again couldn't even make the funeral because I was over in Germany, and like that's tough. Like that's, like I said, is like my biggest fear, and I don't I wouldn't say I don't know if I could regret it, because I have to do what I have to do for my life and my career. But like, I mean, you talk about sacrifice. That's like the ultimate sacrifice for going after what you want to do, and it was tough. That was a really, really tough moment. And I questioned if I was doing the right thing for a lot, but after talking with my family, they talked to my grandma. They wanted me to continue going for what I wanted to go, going for pro soccer contracts. But yeah, I mean, that's some real shit that like I've never ever talked about on video before. What is the hardest? You guys are just asking these tough questions. What is the hardest decision you've ever had to make during your career? This is actually a good question too, because so many people ask me. They say that, Matt, I have two options. I can play for this team or this team. Like, what should I do? What's your opinion on it? And my answer is always, I don't know, and you don't know either. There's no way to predict the future. Obviously, you can do your best guess of what's going to be the better option, but at the end of the day, you have no idea. You could go to team A and have the season of your life, or you could go to team B and have the season of your life. Same way, you could go to team A and get benched, never play a minute, or you could get a career-ending injury, or you could go to team B and do the same exact thing. So I say, just listen to your gut and choose. And I think the hardest decision I've ever had to make is when I was over in Germany, and I had a 4th division team offer me a contract for the 2016-2017 season. And then I had the OC Blues want to bring me in on trial. And I went back and forth if I should just stay in Germany and just go with the 4th division Regionalliga team in Germany, or if I should try this trial for the 3rd division at the time of U.S. professional soccer. And I debated. I talked to my family so much. And at the end of the day, I kind of realized that, look, both options could be great and they could be terrible. I could go and fail, or I could go and succeed. And for me, I really wanted to go to that USL, that fully professional league. I wanted to go for that trial. I wanted to try to play at home in America. I knew I was having a lot of visa issues in Germany, so I just went with my gut, and my gut was telling me Orange County. And again, I still don't know to this day if I made the right decision or the wrong decision. If I would have stayed in Germany and now I would have been playing in the second Bundesliga, or if now if I would have stayed in Germany and I would have had a terrible season, been frustrated, quit, and then end of my career. There's no way in knowing, and I feel like, so there's no reason why you should stress about it. I chose the path. I'm trying to make the best out of the path that I chose, but it's a very, very tough decision. And that's it. That is the last question. So this podcast actually went a little long. I didn't think I was going to have enough content, but I always underestimate how long I can ramble on for. So maybe just shook your head in the background. But yeah, so happy about this podcast. I think it was a good one. Whenever I do solo ones, I always open up and talk about some stuff, for better or for worse. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment below wherever you're listening to this. I always appreciate it, especially for these podcasts. Like, if you're listening to this, you're definitely among like the very tight-knit group that follows me very closely, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Like, it means a ton to me that you guys are even willing to sit down and listen to me talk for almost an hour straight. Like, that's crazy. So thank you. Again, if you're listening to this right now, Mimi and I are probably somewhere in New Mexico, if my calculations are correct. So heading over to Tulsa should be very exciting. Next podcast, this is going to be the last podcast of season 2. Next podcast will be season 3. We're starting it when we get to Tulsa. So awesome. This has been the Against All Odds podcast, guys. Have a nice day. Peace.